To know whether you are convinced by what she is saying. How do you respond to that? She's not denying that women can also have power over Ben 10s, but the gender element means that there's still a difference in terms of how it plays out. I'd like to hear you just a little bit of dialogue with Makaziwa. Can we give her the mic, please? Please remind us your name. My apologies for remembering. I'm getting old now.
Shenya.
Shania, yes.
She, how can I say, partly disagree, partly agree. Reason being, I understand a Benten won't get killed the way, as brutally as a young girl would. But because of women's caring nature, it doesn't mean we need to condone what is happening. Because he's a male and he decides to take someone younger, we can't now punish him and not punish the woman because of her caring nature. So I understand the point and I totally agree with her, but there's a point that I feel she's missing out on. Because I feel like she's condoning the fact that a woman can get a younger man, but just because of her caring nature. But a man can't get a woman because he hasn't shown his a younger woman because he hasn't shown his affectionate side.
Okay, we're going to leave that little dialogue there. Can I get now? Thank you so much for your intervention. Can we have another round of hands, please? Okay, this gentleman will take you, and then we'll go right to the back. I can't ignore such a stunning duke. But let's first hear from the man here in the front here, the one with his hands up. Who's hogging the mic? Let's be quick with the turnaround with the mic so we keep the energy nice.
Okay, hello everybody. So my name is Tawang Maema. I'm from Nova Pioneer. So I have something in that I feel that no one has said that I wanna say. So I'm here to talk about fear. So fear is what people think is like they shouldn't go for or something that they shouldn't like look at. But from my point of view, my father, I asked him one question once, that why is he a manager at his job? And it says it's because it's his most fear and that he loves it. So from there, I looked at fear as in, fear is not what is holding you back. Fear shows you the real world, like what to go for and what you can achieve more than when you go otherwise. So I feel like that people shouldn't do stuff because they are afraid of doing it. They should like, also with women, like you get that women have more potential than men, but they don't show it because they are afraid. So instead of being like not showing it, they should go for it and they will achieve more from that fear. Thank you.
All the way to the back, quickly, then I'm going to come back to you.
Good afternoon. I would like to address the young lady, the student, about the strikes. She said, one thing she said is that the strikes influence the education system and whatever, and she spoke about the fees must fall. I would like to say that that was contained among students. That was VITS related, that was student related, that was fees must fall, meaning they fought against tuition, you know, and that was Braamfontein as a whole. But what Amanda said, our community is striking for service delivery. For example, they're striking for houses. So my question is, why are the learners in the community, why are they striking? Because you cannot give an 18-year-old a house. Whereas I've been in that community for over 30 years and me, I don't get a house. Why are you striking in the first place? You get what I mean? So that is emanating into the schools where learners feel like, listen, we are striking in our community, so why don't we strike in the school? And then also, okay, no, it's fine, I'll get back.
It's okay, we can come back to you. Then just the gentleman at the front, yeah.
Hi, my name is Kutlwano. I'm in grade 12. So just on the issue of strikes, the last speaker, usually we find that the people who start strikes aren't the ones who cause the violent outbreaks and the looting. So like as in UCT, let's say 10 people were arrested. we find that more than half of the people who were arrested weren't even part of the university. So I'm just clearing the one thing that the people who caused the violent outbreaks aren't the ones who started the strikes in order to be heard.
Okay, can we go to this side of the room? Can we have some hands this side? Can I have one here at the front, and then I'll come to you. You should have kept the mic, Werner. You had your chance. Can I first have a mic here at the front?
Greetings to all. My name is Nomtana Zotlaike. I have a question about sanitary towels. What are we as women do to contribute towards the sanitary towels? What solutions and ideas do we have for us to be heard as women? Thank you.
Okay. Pass it back just a couple of rows. We'll be quicker.
Hi, my name is Mpumi, and I am a varsity student. I wanted to comment on the strike situation. We had an issue yesterday where we were writing our honors paper, and students couldn't get to varsity because of the taxi strike that was going on. Now, I was deeply saddened by it because we have students that really made the effort to get to school. They did get there, but they missed the paper. And now they are going to be forced to write, let's just say, a more tough paper because they weren't there to write the normal paper. But it wasn't their fault. So how is it that, these strikes, they think it's okay to strike, and it's not just affecting them. They're not the only people affected by, the reasons why they're striking. Young students are getting affected as well. So
Do you have any empathy for those strikers yesterday?
I do. I see why they are why they were striking.
So what do you if it was up to you, how would the strike have played out differently, but it would still have been a strike?
Hi, my name is Zeph. I'm her father. I'm president of the...
It's a family affair now, eh?
Yeah.
I must warn you, I've got my cousin here
when
as well.
it gets tough, call daddy. Yes, it was a very pitiful situation indeed. Students had to write their exams. These are honors students. And honors is being introduced for the first time at Varsity College. And this was a very, very difficult time for students who wanted to write this exam and couldn't because of the taxi strike. Now you're asking the situation, the question, did they have any rights to do this? I strongly believe there are other ways to communicate a grievance, especially if it has to do with interest rates, the price of a vehicle like that. There are other ways where, we should employ. As an example, get the transport department around the table together with the OEMs, the OEMs who produce those cars, to basically discuss the issue of affordability. That should be one way that should be looked into. But dragging the entire community and blocking the roads really reduces the city into chaos. And I don't think we should condone that by any stretch of imagination. Okay. And my heart really bleeds out, and I feel for those students. And it is uncalled for. I'm sure it's still going to roll out to other regions because it started in Gauteng, in KZN. It's not the way to go. When we strike, we should be very purposeful, and we should be very specific and make sure that we get what we require without denying other people their rights to basically live and do their work. Thank you.
Okay, hold on. Just keep the mic. I hear you, sir. I still want to know what your daughter thinks, not what daddy thinks. So my specific question to you is it, can you imagine, forget about what your dad said, and I accept that your scenario is one way they could have handled it, but you yesterday, as you were experiencing what it's like living in a society directly affected by a broken public transport system, and you have taxi drivers and owners striking. Do you imagine there was a different way they could have handled it so that their voices are heard, but you could also have written your exam?
I still think discussing the matter is easier than to just go out and blocking roads, because how do you get anything solved by stuff like that? Because it is also in a sense that Gautrain buses were broken into. People were hurt because they were trying to get to varsities. People were hurt because they were trying to get around. Our cars were thrown stones at because we're trying to get around these taxis. So why not try to get together, get the people involved together, speak to the people that really are involved in this matter, speak to them and try to get a more passive way of solving this issue without all the fighting.
Okay. Just 2 rows behind you. Can we go to the young lady? And then, ma'am, I'm going to come to you. To you, yes.
Okay. My name is Tato Chaka. I'm from Nova Pioneer. I've spoken before. I wanted to share a poem. The ladies, one thing that stood up for me was how they mentioned black girls and social media and all of that. And I just thought of a poem that I read last year, and I was really inspired by it. So it's called What If a Black Girl Knew? What if a black girl knew that she would be desired by others only if she desired herself? That beauty is not a shade by but a mindset, and the best indicator of it is self-confidence. As I talk some sense, insert here confidence. But what if a black girl knew that her lips were plump and beautiful? She does not need to hold them in or make them thin. She does not need to rely on Kylie Jenner to make her lips an obtainable thing. What if a black girl knew that there is no such thing as a perfect nose, because a nose isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to make you breathe. And if you can breathe, black girl, you've succeeded. What if a black girl knew that to be, I don't know if I should say this word. What if a black girl knew that to be ratchet is a culture defined by the black goddesses whose weave can be any color and whose speech could be any kind of cross from slang to misplaced grammar. Such creativity, so white does it matter? Miley Cyrus does not need to twerk to generate praise for our culture. But what if a black girl knew not to be bitter, that her father like her sons were raised by black hands, and if you see in your father what you eventually see in your man, for the molding of your father came from similar hands. So if bitter is the sculpture, then how sweet can be the man? If bitter is the black girl, then how sweet can be our clan? What if a black girl knew that her rubies were hidden in the sand? What if a black girl knew that her hair was too like finely refined wool, and not a fiber of her hair was the opposite of cool, but it reflects on our outside, the struggle on the inside, where natural meets the straightness that we take to our hatred for ourselves that we project upon each other. But if a black girl knew that history recorded her as the most sought after, that her bosoms were like raindrops that wouldn't dry after, that her body was a magnet to the worldwide wonder, and that jealousy was so great it polluted the perception of a black girl until 1,000 years later. What if a black girl knew that she was the same creature that drove slave masters from wicked hate right down to love by the curves in her figures 8? By that figure, $8 billion figures in the bank account of the Coke Bottle Corporation launched by the shape of the same figure, 8. Figure out, black girl, figure out. The figures match the years of social degrading delivered to the black girl's dismised check. Your figures media rate, 1,000 co-occasions on the red carpet, and only 2 black girls make the cut. And they wonder why we can't grow. And let me guess, because there are more black girls than Lupita Nyong'o. But what if a black girl knew that life is what you make out of it, opportunities is what you take from it, and there'll be no female black president if no black girl wanted to become it? What if a black girl knew not to be a victim, not to be a Picasso, but to be Floyd, because this may leave sun rays on our lawn? What if a black girl stopped waiting for the defeat to spring for her flaws? What if a black girl knew that she should no longer take the abuse between the abuse relationship between her and the media, but decided to make wedding binds between her and the mirror? What if a black girl knew change is possible, greatness is personal, and though it is a black girl at the bottom of the social totem pole, pressure makes diamonds. And if time, black girls, it's time to make your diamonds glow. What if a black girl knew? What if a black girl knew?
Okay, I'm going to take one more from the floor. Can we get the mic very quickly to the back? No, not to you. I'll come back to you, don't worry. The woman had a hand up there for a long time.
Thank you very much. My name is Busisiwe Mokwena. I would like to comment on the strikes. I want to believe that people are striking because they have been through discussions. Unfortunately, the young people or the learners, the students, are the ones who are getting more. The impact bears too much on them because it's affecting them. And yes, there are ways of striking without looting, without making corruptions. But those ways, I think, started when people were on discussions, on the tables, when they were discussing issues. And at the end of the day, if those issues are not being resolved, they resort to striking. So another thing I want to say, I think our system is failing us. Why make promises that we cannot keep? So we should blame the system that is, you know, you know what I'm talking about. And I like to say to all the young ladies there, keep it up. I'm looking at our future presidents, the future leaders of tomorrow. And somebody commented about Ben 10s and what. So I think we are having a very sick society because it seems as if it is normal when an 80-year-old man can marry a 12-year-old child. That is normal. But when an old woman is dating a Ben 10, it looks like it's a taboo. I'm not encouraging it though. But I think our society, we need to go back to our morals. And another thing, you talked about the equality, whereby we've seen a lot of young girls or women have been raped on that. Could it be, I'm also going back to the system that I personally believe it is failing us. Remember, in my years, there were biblical studies, religious studies. So after whatever, the minister was, I think, a Muslim or whatsoever, then the biblical studies were stopped at the schools. Maybe we've lost it somewhere. I'm not saying, again, we are talking about freedom of expression, freedom of what. So why did they took away biblical studies? Why are we having so many young men or young women misbehaving? Maybe because they're not getting what we were also taught. You know, I'm not disregarding any other religion, but I do believe that there are ways that we can teach our children as parents. We are having a lot of single mothers. Where are the men? Where are the fathers? Where are the fathers to mentor, to be role models to our young boys? Goes back to the system. So I think young girls and young boys, we need to look back, as she alluded that the youth of 1976, they were so focused, they had one vision. So let us not lose focus as young men and young we are the future leaders of tomorrow. Let us be focused. Let us not lose focus on what we want and what we believe in. Yes, we can strike, but let us not damage the properties, because at the end of the day, you want a school, yet you're going to ban that school. How are they going to fix it again? But our system, maybe as you turn 18, you will be able to change your X to a better X. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to come back to my panel. Does anyone like to respond to any of the remarks?
To the lady that asked over there about shelter, like why should someone who's 18-year-old fight for a house? I truly believe that shelter is one of our basic needs. And each and every one of us needs to have shelter. So whether you're 35 years old or 6-year-old, you need shelter regardless of your age. So, for someone to say that you are young enough to have shelter, are you trying to take away the right for me to have a physiological need? Should I stay in the streets because you need to get shelter? I mean, where should I study if I don't have shelter? I'm trying to get a degree. I'm trying to make a better future for myself. And I don't have shelter. So what should I do?
Very, very quickly.